We're now going to apply what we learned about human behavior in the blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment to a real case study in history. And that case study is going to be the Holocaust. And using what we learned in the blue-eyed, brown-eyed experiment and how people create we and they groups, we're going to try and understand why something so horrific like the Holocaust could have happened. So please flip in your text booklet to page 4 and 5. Open that up, page 4 and 5. You will see the words A History of Anti-Semitism at the top. Also make sure you have a pen or a pencil. If you have a highlighter, sweet. If you don't, totally cool. Okay, let's break down a couple vocabulary words. So take your pen or pencil and read with me. Anti-Semitism. I'm going to circle two things. Anti, label that, against, and Semitism. I'm going to circle that ISM at the end, ism. Anytime you tack ism onto the end of the word, it typically means like a belief or a system of belief. So we have anti-Semitism. Well, what's a Semite? A Semite is anyone who can trace their heritage, their ancestry to this southwestern Asia or Middle Eastern area. That included the Hebrew people. And so the term anti-Semitism refers to anti-Jewish beliefs. So read this definition with me. Anti-Judaism, hostility, discrimination, or prejudice against Jews, I'm going to box that, as a religious or racial group. Scapegoat. Let's move to scapegoat. A scapegoat is a person who is unfairly blamed for something that others have done. A person who is blamed for the wrongdoings, mistakes, or faults of others. Now let's go back and box some keywords in there so they pop out. A person who is unfairly blamed, box unfairly blamed, for something that others have done. Others have done. A person who is blamed, box that, for the wrongdoings, mistakes, or faults of others. Box that. Now, if you have a sibling, chances are you have either used your sibling as a scapegoat before, or they've used you. If you ever blamed your sibling for something that you have done to get out of trouble, you've used them as a scapegoat. If you've ever been blamed by your sibling for something you didn't do that they did, so they could get out of trouble with your parents, you were used as a scapegoat. And now let's go to persecuted. Persecuted, reading with me. Treated cruelly or unfairly because of one's beliefs. I'm going to box some key stuff here. Treated cruelly or unfairly, box that, because of one's beliefs. So persecution or being persecuted is any time a person is mistreated simply because of what they believe. Now I'm going to show you some images so we can kind of connect these definitions to something visual. Here, I'll move this way. All right. Check it out. These are images that connect to anti-Semitism. So I want you to think in your head, okay, what do you see that reminds you of that definition? So we got some segregation of Jews, strictly because they are a different religious group. And then we got a bunch of images here with this symbol. This is the swastika. This is whenever we think of anti-Semitism, or I think about like vandalism or violence against Jewish people, I often see swastikas. These were the symbol of the Nazi Party, so they've become kind of synonymous with anti-Semitic attitudes and actions. You can see that here too. Super hateful symbol. Scapegoat. Check it out. How do these images connect to the definition of scapegoat? Remember, being blamed for something that someone else did, or taking fault for something that someone else did. And then finally, we got persecution, or being persecuted. How do these images remind you of persecution? So we got this star here. This was a badge that Jewish people had to wear in Nazi Germany to signal that they were Jews and that they were other or a they group. If you check these out, after September 11th happened in the United States, there was a rise in persecution against Muslim people strictly because of their religious beliefs. So we see some protests here against persecution against Muslim people. Those are those vocab terms. And now we're going to check out the annotation focus. So get ready with me. Make sure you have something to write with. See you in a minute.